about to bring on the positive vibe. Wherever we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Purpose Lounge. I'm your host, Monica. Thank you so much for being with me this afternoon. You will note that I'm here by myself. If you missed our 11 o'clock hour, we had a phenomenal conversation with three brothers from Jackson State University. If you've been watching our show through the month of October, you know that we are dedicating the month of October to HBCUs, right? So this October, typically people be gathering their gear to head to their respective HBCUs for homecoming, but the Rona is here and the Rona said, yeah, no. So social distancing and masking, we can't do homecoming this year. So we thought it'd be a really good idea just to bring some HBCU alum on our shows, chit chat, and just have a real good conversation about HBCUs, why they selected their HBCUs, why they love their HBCUs so much, and just kind of homecoming. So we're doing a virtual homecoming field throughout the month of October. And I'm super excited about today because 11 o'clock was a JSU SWAC takeover. I got the 561 takeover right now with my girls. These are my home girls. If you all know, then you all know I am from a proud West Palm Beach, not born, but raised in West Palm. And I have some phenomenal women on the show today who are all HBCU grads and who all are from Palm Beach County. What's up, everybody? Y'all make sure to take yourself on mute.
What is good?
Hey, so we're going to go ahead and kick this conversation off. I want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves. Going to start with Trinette.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Trinette Morris. As Monica said, born and raised in West Palm Beach. I like to say raised in West Palm Beach, made at FAMU. I am graduated from the College of Education in 1995. But I am currently an entrepreneur, a restaurateur, still an educator, always will be an educator. And I'm sure we'll get into more of me a little later.
Whitney.
Hello, everyone. I'm Whitney Baldwin Powell. I'm currently an attorney in the area. I was born and raised in Palm Beach. I graduated from FAMU with my first degree in 2008. I then got a master's from FAMU in 2009, and then I'm a graduate of FAMU's law school. So I'm a Rattler through and through.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Triple Rattler. Welcome. Thank you. Miss Vernique. Now, you're the only non-Rattler on here, but I know you're going to represent your school well.
Come on, Monica. Come on. Tuskegee University. You know, I'm going to bring it for the Tuskegee University alumni as well as the Tuskegee University current attending students to let everybody always be proud to be a Tuskegee University alumni. Hello, my name is Vernique Williams, and yes, I was also born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. I graduated from the School of Engineering and has an electrical engineering degree in 1996. And I am here in the Rattlers Den, but as we all know, the Golden Tigers stand strong. We will not limbo low with the Rattlers today.
Miss Leontine, my classmate, my sister from another mister. What's up, babe?
Hello, my boo. Hello, all my friends. I don't know how this is going to go for real because we kind of cut up on a regular basis. So, I mean, I don't know. Should we let people see this? I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because people know me in one little section. They don't really know me like that. All right, let's see how it goes. All right, let's just agree to see how it goes. I'm Leontine Brown. I am a proud graduate of Florida A&M University. I received a bachelor's degree in consumer psychology with a minor in business administration. And then I stayed. I told my mom I stayed to get a second degree, which was in sociology with a minor in cultural anthropology, which I did get, but I really stayed because I was pledging a line. And so, I stayed and got a second degree. Today, I am a marketing and communications consultant. I've been in marketing for over 20 years. Before leaving corporate America and becoming an entrepreneur, I was the director of advertising for Nike's brand Jordan. And now I own my own advertising agency, where I work with many of the world's most influential brands, and have a ball being an entrepreneur, as well as being an advocate for voting. I also founded Pretty Girls Vote, which has nothing to do with anybody's sorority, but it's all about voting and encouraging women to vote. Okay.
And my best friend from high school, Katrina Long Robinson. What's up, girl?
What is happening? So I'm excited to be here. Vernique, you actually did pretty good with your introduction. I ain't gonna front, friend. You got a little crunk. I ain't gonna lie to you. For you to be in the Rattlers Den, you did that a little bit. So you did a little something. But I am Katrina Long Robinson. I'm a proud graduate of the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, coming out fall 1999, graduating from the College of Education, one of the best schools on the Hill that educates, trains, and empowers educators all across the country. And so I'm excited to be here with all my friends today. I currently serve as Vice Mayor for the innovative city of Westlake, and I also manage the founder and CEO of KLR Consultants, where I do public speaking, strategist, and community development. So I'm excited to be here with everybody.
Well, I can't listen. I told my husband, I said, so I think he chickened out for real.
Yeah, I think so too.
I know most of the people. Why I got to be there with all y'all? I was like, you can really just be here. So anyway,
yeah, we said we do not appreciate that.
I let him know. So I just want to jump right into the conversation. So we entitled this whole series HBCUs, Black Spaces Creating Black Excellence. And one of the things that we've talked about in our previous shows is asking our guests, you know, when you graduated from high school, like Katrina and I and Leontine, we all went to Suncoast. And Trinette, where you went to high school?
I went to John I. Leonard because I went to the school that was in the district for Westward, this neighborhood.
That's shade to me. That's shade to me because our parents live right down the street from each other. That's shade me. But
John I. Leonard was our district school, and that's where I went.
Whitney, where'd you go to high school?
I went to the King's Academy.
Okay. Vernique, where'd you go to high school?
No, I went to high school in Atlanta. I went to high school in Jonesboro, Georgia.
Okay. Well, Katrina, Leontine and I went to Suncoast, and I mean, we were indoctrinated really with FAMU because Mr. Brown, who was a band director, was a drum major in the 100. And so we would have FAMU folks on campus all the time. Mr. Ramey, I was in chorus. Mr. Ramey was a cookman, was a wildcat, but you know, you still have that connection. So,
Suncoast at the time, it's not like that as much anymore, but at the time, it really was like a mini HBCU.
Right. So I guess my question is, when you all were graduating, was like an HBCU or going to an HBCU kind of high on your priority list? Did it just kind of happen? What was the motivation that encouraged you to go to an HBCU? Vernique, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay. That was my motivation for me to go to an HBCU. Let me take you back in the early 1990s. I graduated in 1990. I went to Jonesboro High School. Jonesboro High School during that time was predominantly white. So let me paint this picture for you. 500. I graduated with 500 students. Only 20 of us was Black.
Wow.
It's the same at Leonard.
So, then I started thinking, wait a minute, I was not getting the cultural, I was not getting the Black experience that I needed at my high school. So I said to myself, you know what, I have to attend an HBCU.
Okay.
So the HBCU, I really wanted to attend, to be honest with you guys, I really wanted to attend an HBCU in the AU Center. But I was down there so much and got in so much trouble during high school. Not be in the school at HBCU. You have to go. You have to say, I can't do this. So I only chose Tuskegee, not only because it was had a phenomenal engineering program, but also it was 2 hours away from home.
Okay. Whitney, what about you? Because you said you went to King's Academy, and I know King's Academy is a private school in Palm Beach County and predominantly white. What was the motivation that led you to go to A&M?
Similar to Vanique, there were 4 Black students in my graduating class. I went to King's Academy for my whole life, from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. So probably about my 10th grade year, I started researching HBCUs, and my parents, we went on an HBCU tour all the way to DC, Hampton, FAM, North Carolina A&T, because I just knew that I had to have a different experience. That was what I was exposed to, and I just needed to branch out, and just stepping foot on all of the HBCUs I toured, it was just something different, something that I was not used to. So I had to make a change, and so that's what led me to applying for HBCU. I only applied to one PWI only because my mom made me, and that was Florida State. Because I figured, okay, if I don't go to a HBCU, at least I'll be in Tallahassee, near the hills. So that was my motivation.
Okay.
Really.
Trinette, what about you?
Well, those are great stories for Nick and Whitney. I too went to a predominantly white high school, but I literally chose FAMU. I was going to go to an HBCU, but I chose FAMU, 1, for the college education, and 2, because my brother was there and he and my ex-boyfriend lived together. So I needed to be close.
Period. No
That's the truth. He went to Florida State at the time, but I was like, okay, so I too was looking at schools in Atlanta initially, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go to FAMU.
So Suncoast, when Leontine, Katrina and I were there, was predominantly Black. So it was black. So, but still the same question. I'll start with you, Leontine. What was the motivation for you to choose A&M?
Well, back in the day, I was a part of Deltines, which is Delta Gyms now. I was also a part of a number of different organizations that did college tours. And for whatever reason, my parents, they trusted me a lot. So they was always sending me to go somewhere. And I went to all the college tours, and all of the college tours, of course, were HBCU. So it wasn't if I was going to an HBCU, it was which HBCU. I only applied, like Whitney, to one PWI, which was the University of Miami. But I also got into Clark. I got into Howard. Where else did I apply? Southern. Southern was the other school I applied to. And Florida A&M for me was just, it probably was the easy choice, but it was the best choice. It was in Florida, so it wasn't too far away. My brother was there. Very good friends with Trinette's brother. Wait, my brother wasn't your ex-boyfriend?
No, they didn't live together.
They didn't live together at one point. So I just wanted to clarify, because I know Trinette real well, but this would have taken our relationship to the whole other level. And so it was really the easy choice. And again, the best choice that I made. But really going to FAM was like going to 13th grade. It was just
Katrina, same question.
So if for anybody who knows my family, my entire family bleeds orange and green. Mm-hmm. My mom and her siblings and their cousins. And so my parents met at FAMU. My dad is from Tallahassee, and my parents actually met at FAM. And so the story is, I did not want to go to FAMU. I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta University, Monica, if you remember. And so, all of you know my mom, and many people viewing, you know my mom, and my mom is short, about 5'4", 5'5", but very assertive, and so I kept talking about Clark University, and she probably was, I can imagine now that I'm grown, probably telling my dad, okay, so you not going to correct her about this Clark University? And so I'm sitting up there thinking I'm going to apply to Clark University. And I'll never forget, we were in the kitchen, and she said, listen, my money is going to Florida A&M University. You are not, she was direct, you are, because I had fun in high school, you are not going to get a full ride to another school. So I suggest you go where me and your daddy money gonna pay for you to go, and you are going to A&M. Don't get it out your mind, a Clark University. So that's how I got to FAMU. But as Leo said, it was like the best, probably the best experience for me as it relates to life, relationships, and education in general. You know, you grow up really fast when you get on those HBCU campuses with learning life. Right, learning about life in general. So it was the best decision that I could have made going to FAMU.
It's so funny, Leontine, when you say 13th grade, because that's one of the reasons I did not want to go to A&M. I was like, because it would seem like everybody at Suncoast who was headed to college was going to A&M. I was like, I don't want to see y'all again.
But I made a very conscious decision to not live with anybody that I knew. So I actually did not have a roommate with anybody because, to your point, it was so many of us going. My best friend and I went up there together, but we did not live together. But we do, and I think all of us actually do a really good job of sharing each other. And that was kind of the space that I went into FAM with. I already know people, so I'm making a conscious effort to get to know people who I didn't know. And so I started off by making sure that I didn't have a roommate that I knew.
Yeah. So for me, what was my motivation was I went on campus and met Dean Mobley, and that was it. And then my mom, same thing, Katrina. She was like, we're not going to spend a whole lot of money sending you a whole lot of places, and Tallahassee is close. You going there. So it was kind of once we met Dean Mobley, and Dean Mobley was like, why would you go anywhere else? My mom was like, you really don't have no say in this decision. This is where you going. So, which leads me to my next question. When you got on campus, I know all of us have seen Different World, and I was a Different World fan. When you got on campus, was it everything that you imagined? You know, was you overwhelmed, underwhelmed? Kind of what was your vibe when you got on campus? Vernique?
I was underwhelmed. I'm telling you, no, you got to understand this story. First, you know how they do the college tours, like some they have attended. I did a college tour where the school invited us to open house. And during that time, once again, I was at a Morehouse party the night before we were supposed to go to Tuskegee to visit and see the campus. On the way there, my cousin and we fell asleep. My mom didn't wake us up until we got to campus. We went into the big auditorium, Chappie James. We toured the engineering school. So everything was very nice. The band was there. You know, you were getting all, everything that you would think you would see at an HBCU. And I, of course, went home, fell asleep. But when I chose that school and we were going to Tuskegee and we were driving into Tuskegee, into Alabama, into the city itself, I'm looking to the left and I'm looking to the right and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Is this where they going to drop me off? I'm thinking, I'm in my mind, I'm going to have that same scenery as the AU Center, the Spelman and Morehouse. I had Mayberry from 1950.
Yeah.
And you had one, not Burger King, one Booger King. And you had one Taco Bell, and that was it. So I was shocked. When they left me, I looked like a pound puppy. I was like, please do not leave me here. Please take me back. So that tells you that you should always pay attention to where you're going and before you get there. But Tuskegee, the whole scenery, even though it was 1990s, it looked like the 1950s and 1960s. But I did know how to matriculate. I learned how to matriculate through there, and it was the best experience for me. I was at the right place at the right time.
Trinette, when you jumped on campus, what was because FAM is a lot. I mean, it was a lot when it's I think the largest, if not one of the largest HBCUs in the country. So when we were there, it was 11,000 students on campus, and you like, ooh, Lord, it's a lot of people. So what was your immediate reaction when you got on campus? Were you underwhelmed, overwhelmed?
I think I was somewhere in the middle. I had spent so much time in Tallahassee years before that because my brother was there. So we were always, literally my parents let us go up for homecoming when I was in the 10th grade by ourselves. Johnny's was there. So I could go anywhere with Johnny's Neely. That's one of my best friends. If Johnny's was going to the moon, I could go. fifth grade. So she was 2 years older. So we had already, gone to homecomings, gone up for, just other random stuff. We had already experienced, at that time, classics were in Tampa versus Orlando. So I felt like I had the full college experience before I got to college, literally.
Okay.
So I wasn't overwhelmed or underwhelmed, but it was easy, wasn't hard for me to, kind of get in a groove very quickly.
Leontine?
I was not overwhelmed. Again, I felt like it was 13th grade. But what I will tell y'all a funny story. So I called myself going to school with a boyfriend. So I had a high school boyfriend. So we telling each other bye before I leave. Child, I got on that campus. This is not an exaggeration. This is not a lie. If you think I'm lying, you can ask my best friend to this day, Terrace Renee Rayford Ross. You could ask her. I got on that campus. I remember that dude in my mind that day. I did not talk to him again ever. Like to this day, we've never spoken. I tell you, no, I was like, oh.
Listen, we have the most gorgeous men. I tell everybody, fam, you got the most gorgeous men, baby. We ain't, hey, them men right there. Them
they are that day. And I was like, oh my God, I have died.
Vernique, I don't know what y'all got at Tuskegee, but we got some winners up there on that hill.
We literally broke up with the guy in my mind. Like, we never talked about it. We just broke up. So that's the part that I remember. My very first day on campus, I broke up with my boyfriend in my mind, and we never talked again.
It's so funny. It's so funny because it's so funny. Katrina just said because they are the men on FAM's campus. The men talk about how gorgeous the women on FAMU's campus are, but the men were good. Were I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
And they had at the time, I don't know if they have it now, but at the time they had different geographical clubs. So they had the Chicago club and the club, and I was like, oh, we don't go together no more. That was it. We just don't go together no more.
Whitney, you're a little younger than us, so I'm not sure. You came in what year? What year did you come in?
I came in 04.
Okay. So I don't know if the vibe had changed. Probably not. But when you got on campus, what was your immediate reaction? Because King's Academy is a relatively small school, and A&M is huge. So what was your reaction when you got on campus? Moved into the dorm, your parents done left. You like, okay. What was your reaction?
My reaction, I'm gonna be honest, I was a little overwhelmed because it was a different space. I wasn't used to that space. And the first night in the dorm, actually, I called my parents, like they were still in Tallahassee, and they came and got me because it was just different. And I mean, I really learned to appreciate Black people in the culture just because I didn't go to school with that. I didn't have that. So just, going to class and you have a Black professor, that was a new thing for me because King's Academy, I only had one Black teacher and she didn't come there until 12th grade. So I learned to appreciate having Black professors who really poured into me, who really cared. So I guess I was a little overwhelmed, like, wow, they actually care about me. Mm-hmm. And just meeting people and like, wow, okay, like, I like it here. I love it. So, I mean, I was a little overwhelmed. The first month I called my parents like every day, like, I don't know, like, maybe this was too drastic of a change to go from King's Academy to FAM, but I mean, looking back on my experience, it's made me who I am, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. I have to share this. So if you see Soul Purpose Show, that's really Keith. So I'm sharing these because this is for you, Leontine. Honey, I ain't never coming home. So this is, if you see Soul Purpose Show, that's Keith. So I'm giving you a heads up.
We family, right? Y'all want me to tell the truth? That's literally what happened. We don't go together no more. So.
Katrina and I were best friends in high school, and I know I still have some of the letters that we wrote back and forth because I missed home. I missed my family. So me and Katrina were writing letters back and forth. She's like, "Hey, friend, I miss you." So when you came on campus, Trine,
but Monica, if we be honest, the letters started after you and I got in trouble from our moms because the phone bills were so high. Monica and I would talk every day, and that's when we ain't have no cell phones.
Right.
We weren't talking to the cell like y'all. the phone bill. Monica and our moms literally fussed at us at the same. Hey, you know how they say at the same damn time? At the same time. Like the bills were like 500, no joke,
Yes.
some dollars, and they was like, y'all better start writing. It was because the thing is, all my friends graduated in '93. They was gone.
Yeah.
I had no friends at Suncoast, like, because I always everybody else was older. I'm, bopping around, as Leo like to say, with the older crew. So once everybody was gone, I'm looking around at Suncoast like, wait a minute, I gotta make friends. I had to make new friends.
And they're looking at you like, oh, you want to come to the party with us?
Right.
Now? Oh, okay.
Right. Oh, you want to come not to the party?
Right.
But Monica,
go ahead.
ask me that question. Yes, ask me the question, because I got a funny story about Monica. Ask me the question about when my parents dropped me off, so I could tell y'all. Go ahead, ask the question, Monica.
What happened? I'm like, oh Lord, Katrina, what happened when your parents dropped you off, Katrina?
Listen, first of all, thank God for grace and mercy, because me and Monica had some, Lord Jesus, we had some good times, y'all. Seriously. So my parents, I'm very sad, crying, because I was the only child. My mama crying, I'm crying. Well, later on, then the tears dried up, maybe about an hour or two after they dropped off. We go to a party. Monica and I go to a party. Yeah, sip out the cup. We go to a party.
Not
so I'm like,
how long
we spend at the party? Oh, we're not going to be here long. Now, mind you, she done met a lot of people, a lot of friends, whatever. She don't tell me she got a boo thing at this party. Oh, you see how the head changed? She don't even remember. We get to the party on Perry. I think the house was on Perry Street or something like that. Y'all, I ain't seen Monica for the rest of the night.
You remember that? Oh, you remember it.
I ain't started nary class. I ain't started nothing. I'm sleeping on the floor. The guys were really nice, I must say. They were the guys were really nice. I'm like, oh, Monica, so hey, Keith. Yeah, Keith, I know you watching. Keith, you better stop posting little stuff now. Y'all, I ain't seen Monica. So then we wake up the next morning. Oh, Trina, come on, let's go. We get ready to go. What? Monica, are you serious? So that was my freshman experience. We grown now. We can't get into it for my mamas no more. That was my first experience to drop.
I do remember. Golly, I do remember that. Yeah, my bad, dog. My bad.
You know what? Now telling these stories, I'm so happy my best friends ain't on here. Jesus, I'm like, my best friends be on here. I'm like, oh, we was gonna be telling stories. Okay, yay, good job, parents.
Listen. That was the question. I had to give my experience. That was the drop off.
That was your drop off.
That was the drop off.
So I do want to ask a question though. So parties, this kind of feeds into the next question. So I know we had a good time at A&M. I'm sure Tuskegee, y'all had a good time at Tuskegee too. Yeah. There's this notion from people when you talk about HBCUs and HBCU experience that all we do is party. And they question the academic rigor on campuses. And Whitney kind of touched on it a little bit about your professors and having Black professors who feed into you and encourage you. So, have you come across that in your professional careers when they find out that your degree is from an HBCU? Do they question the validity or the academic rigor at your institution, or is that has not been an issue? I know in the legal profession, at least when I started, I've been practicing almost 20 years. At least when I started, most people, when they talk about A&M, they knew the 100. They didn't know about the pharmacy program, the nursing program, the education school. They didn't know about the academic rigorous schools on campus. They just knew about the band. So, in your profession, as you've become in your professional lives, have you received that type of pushback or just questions about the validity of your degree? Trina?
Well, Trinette and I can handle this one because both of us have been teaching and sat at the administrative level. I can honestly say when they see FAMU on your resume, they want you. If from College of Education, they want you because they know that FAMU grooms educators to be some of the best educators there are. So they would gravitate, for me, I've never even had to really, once they see that, talk much in the interview, because they're like, oh, you went to FAMU? We already know, you are cream of the crop when it comes to getting in that classroom or being on, when it comes to education. So for college education, no, I'll say that they really like getting, and I don't know, Trinette, because I know you were in Orlando when you were teaching and an administrator. I don't know if it was the same for you, but I know at Palm Beach County, we really like family educators.
It was the same. It was absolutely the same. I mean, if you were college education FAMU, and then my experience was a little unique because I was college education, but I interned at Marva Collins, and not many people had done that. And so that was, for me, huge. Only 3 of us a year got to do that at FAMU. And so that combined with going to FAMU, interning having my internship be at Marva Collins, you're on a most wanted list for sure. And your track really does look different. My track in education in Orlando looked very, very different. I was able to do things a lot quicker, sooner, and move a lot faster.
Yeah. Whitney, now you are what we would consider a triple rattler. And so, which is unique, I think, because, you went to A&M for law school, and we know the legal profession is just we can have a whole different conversation about the legal profession, particularly with respect to Black women. So have you, in your practice or just in your professional career, have you seen people or experienced people kind of like, you went where? When they're talking to you and when you're talking about your educational background?
Yes, absolutely. That happens all the time. And FAMU law, many people don't know that it's like 50% Black and 50% white. So, while you were sitting here asking me and, turning up your nose at me because I went to FAMU law, when my counterparts also went to FAMU law. But because I'm, a Black female, of course, you're looking at me differently. So there have been times where I've had to prove myself. And at the end of the day, you took the same bar that I took. My bar card is the same as your bar card. So, I've felt like I've had to, prove myself and really show them that, I'm worthy, that, I am a good attorney. It doesn't matter what school I went to. For me, I went to FAMU Law because, the price tag, it was the cheapest law school in the state. And, I remember in orientation in law school, a professor said, at the end of the day, like, the end goal is for you to pass the bar. So that was my end goal, to pass the bar. Yeah. So, I think people aren't conscious because they see, okay, this is someone who graduated from FAMU Law. FAMU Law is one of the newer law schools, up and coming, still having to build itself. But they may ask me, but when they see a classmate of mine who doesn't look like me, who went to FAMU Law, of course, they're not going to get asked the same question. Yeah. So I have experienced that, definitely.
And I think a lot of people with respect to FAMU Law School don't understand and have an appreciation for the history. FSU.
It's not a new law school.
FSU Law School.
Well, the law school in Orlando is a newer law school. We're having to rebuild itself. The history. When you look back at FAMU Law and how it was taken away and, going through that history, but the reestablished law school, I will say, having to build itself and people thinking that, it's a young up and coming law school when, you're right. It's full of history.
It's full, like Arthenia Joyner was a graduate, and Senator Arthenia Joyner, a phenomenal graduate and alumni of A&M and A&M's law school. So to your point, and A&M, frankly, when you look at the bar passage rates, is doing better than some of the other institutions. So y'all are doing a stand-up job. Vernique, same question.
It's so funny that you said that because coming into corporate America, I work for two big companies. Two big companies in West Palm Beach area, 2 of the Fortune 500. And every time it felt like when I would be introduced to say where I went to school or something like that, it would all be, they'll always say Tuscany. They're like trying to figure out where is this school. But you know what? When I said, yeah, the same school that the Tuskegee Airmen were a part of in that area. So they knew the Tuskegee Airmen. But then when you go and I'm doing my work and I'm performing at a high level, and it's like, well, where did you go to school again? I said Tuskegee University. Mm-hmm. Okay, now where is that again? In Alabama. Oh, you went there? Yeah. So, it was like they were questioning because I was doing such an exceptional job that I went to this school that produced such an exceptional person. But what they had to understand is that the same education that any PWI, whether it was Auburn up the street or Georgia Tech in Atlanta, I was getting the same education and producing almost better or even I would say at a high level. Because when we go to those HBCUs, they teach you either going to find a way or you're going to make a way. Mm-hmm. That you have to be 3 times as better as your counterpartners when you walk into that corporate office or wherever you're going. So, yeah, they always question the school that I went to. But now, the company that I work for now, Tuskegee University is one of their well sought out schools for Black engineers. They go there every year. And right now they usually hire maybe 10 or 12 Blacks from that school. And they also make sure they have internships. So, when we perform well and do well, and that's why we always speak to the younger people that go to these HBCUs to make sure they do well and they're well established and they get that cultural experience, but also to be that 3 times as better and that make a way or find a way.
Yeah. So that make a way or find a way leads me into a question I have we have 3 entrepreneurs on here. And so the question that I have for y'all is did the HBCU experience prepare you? Because you worked for someone and then you all made a decision, I'm going to pivot and do my own thing. Did your experience at an HBCU give you the courage and saying, you know what, if I can do this, make my own money? Was that a motivation for you in the back of your mind? Did that help you at all, Leontine?
Absolutely. I mean, FAMU, well, I would say first in high school, but definitely at FAM, I learned the direct correlation between hard work and success. For me, it was always a very straight line. When I worked hard, I did extremely well. I learned that at FAM. I was held very much accountable to my professors while I was at school. They would call my parents. I mean, I remember you saying, that Black or HBCUs have this connotation about partying. And yeah, you can have a great time at school, but those professors have a very high standard and a very high expectation for you. And they would call my parents if I was MIA, especially when I was pledging. They would be like, listen, my expectation don't change for you. And as a matter of fact, it's now higher. And so there was a direct correlation for me between working hard and achievement. And that did not change when I became an entrepreneur. I got my first job in advertising from a FAMU graduate who is now one of the directors of marketing at McDonald's. He hired me, and he is a FAMU graduate, Beta Nu Alpha. And I remember when I interviewed with him, he was like, so when I was over at Lee Hall back in the day, and he was trying to drop these little nuggets about who he was. I remember when I decided to become an entrepreneur, when I first left Nike, he was my very first client. Nike's president, Brand Jordan's president at the time, he wasn't a FAMU graduate, but he was very familiar with FAMU. My former employer became one of my first clients as well. I actually had Nike and continue to do business with Nike to this day. And it's because of my relationship from FAMU.
Trinette?
Very similar, but I think one of the most important things for me is I learned how not to accept no at FAMU, and to be really persistent. Just from the amount of time that I had to spend, following up on financial aid and following up on different things, like just those skills, some of those soft skills and hard skills, like those, like real talk, like those are invaluable to this day. I don't, I may talk to one person on the phone, and if they don't give me the answer that I need, I'm gonna call back until I get the answer that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So that I will make a way or find a way. And I absolutely learned that at FAMU. Absolutely. Without a doubt. So, and those skills are completely needed as an entrepreneur. Like, you cannot take no as for an answer. You have to be persistent. That accountability that I learned at FAMU. I was responsible for someone was responsible for me. If I was not achieving, if I was not living up to, the expectation, I was going to be called on it. And so learning, a lot of times people don't know how to take criticism, corrective criticism. And I got that at FAMU very, very, very early on. So it serves me well in education. It serves me well in corporate. It serves me well now as an entrepreneur as well.
Katrina, same question, because I know you most recently made a pivot. So do you believe there's a correlation in terms of, because that takes courage to leave a corporate environment and say, you know what, I can do this on my own.
Right.
Did your experience at FAM kind of give you the courage to make that pivot and say, I can do this?
Yeah, and look, even reading some of the comments and knowing the circles of women and men I surround myself with, I think attending HBCUs teaches us to be risk takers. And I say that because each of us at our HBCUs have been made to take risk in class. I commend people, and sometimes I laugh at, people take Toastmasters, and I'm like, well, at FAM, we did Toastmasters. At the time, your professor calling you, to come up at those HBCUs because they do want to make you great. And so what FAM taught me was true grit. And that if I wanted to go after, I got to continue to work. And so even, your professors coming out of the box and telling you to follow your dreams. Professors at HBCUs have very real conversations with you. You're learning, but they're also teaching you life lessons and those skills. And so I know you got to get to another question, but for me, with being, like Trinette said, an entrepreneurial or in corporate, I know for me, I got pregnant at FAMU. I got pregnant and I only had 2 semesters. I had a semester of classes and an internship. And I'll never forget, I hid my pregnancy, came home for spring break, got caught trying to be slick, got caught. I didn't know, I was out my mind anyway. However, I couldn't go back to FAM that spring semester. But I had relationships with those professors where I was able to call them. They gave me an eye. However, when I went back, my parents was like, okay, you got to go back. You got to, because we're not going to be able to take care of you in no little poo-poo head. Had the baby in April, went back in May, had to take those 5 courses along with the other courses. And one of my professors, she was teaching a course at Madison. I don't know why she was teaching. It was Miss Duval. Trinette, you remember Miss Duval? She taught
what did she teach?
Social studies, education, social studies, and something else. However, I rode with her to class. Now, had I gone to another university where people didn't look like me, I probably wouldn't have even had that option.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm saying that to say, to bring it full circle, I feel like I could do anything. Those professors at the HBCUs, they make us feel like you can do whatever you want to do, Whitney. If you want to get 5 degrees from here, you could get it, and you're going to be just as good of an attorney as I could call some names, but I ain't going to call no names. I got some friends who don't look like they're watching. But you could be just as good as them. Engineer Vernique, one of the top engineers here in Palm Beach County. She playing it safe, but Vernique, she over the hospitals here in the county. So it's like those HBCUs, they teach us true passion and grit and integrity. And so had it not been for them, I wouldn't know how to be a risk taker to say, you know what, I'm gonna just piece this out. I'm gonna try it. If it don't work, I can always go back to what I know. But yeah, I wanna do my own thing and see what happens.
Yeah. So one of the things, the theme that I heard in the last series of answers was this concept of relationships, right? And so relationships with professors, relationships with your classmates, relationships with the university, period. And so I went to a PWI for law school, and I can tell you I have friends from there for sure, because we went through the thick of it together and can attest that law school, you need a group of people to help you get through. But I have friendships from A&M that are almost 30-year friendship. I mean, Leontine, Katrina and I have been friends for almost 40 years. But I have friendships from A&M that are almost 30 years. And so I can't hear you because whatever you saying, Leontine, you talking trash and you on mute, which is probably
while we don't look like we've had a 40 year. I mean, listen, I look like I might not even.
That is true. So in terms of your success, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in corporate, have the relationships that you gained at A&M or at Tuskegee, have they helped you throughout your career? I know Leontine touched on it a little bit, Katrina kind of touched on it a little bit, but your relationship, particularly your friends' relationships. I think we know professors at HBCU are going to feed in and pour in and encourage the students on campus. But those friendship relationships, because, sometimes we have a tendency to compete against each other, but are the relationships that you built on campus with your fellow students, have they benefited you and helped you as you've progressed professionally? Trinette?
Absolutely. My situation at FAMU was a little bit different. I never lived on campus. I got an apartment my first year, because at the time that I went to FAMU, it was known that if you didn't get your housing paperwork in,
you weren't gonna have no house to live.
Yeah. So we did it on purpose. Me and my roommate purposely did not get our housing paperwork. I don't even know why we were responsible for getting it in ourselves, but we did not. Me and Gloria Color, Riley, we knew we wanted an apartment. I don't know. I do know why, but we wanted an apartment. So we got our paperwork.
Because of that ex-boyfriend would take your butt out.
It's Jack to tell the story about how I got up there the first night and thought I was going to stay at his house. And he was like, just not why you up here. But anyway. So, and it was funny because once we got the information, once we got the notice back that we didn't have housing, my parents are like, okay, so I guess you're going to Atlanta, to your second choice. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. No. So I didn't live on campus. So I feel like, I didn't make as many relationships with other people as I would do that over again. That's the one thing I would do over about college. And then I also lived off campus, but lived in kind of like Florida State's neighborhood on West Street. Between, their fraternity houses. So a lot of my friendships were people I already knew from West Palm, the 13th grade people. And some others from other places, but most people from Florida. So yes and no. Like I feel like I should have, definitely lived on campus to, network a little bit more, although I partied well and gained a lot of relationships and friendships from partying, I guess, on campus. But most certainly the friendships from people who I may not have been as close with in West Palm Beach, definitely that strengthened. That was a little different. And those relationships have definitely served me well, today.
Whitney?
I agree with Trinette. For me, it was a little bit different because I stayed on campus. So I was able to build relationships. Some of the friends that I met in the dorm, I'm still friends with. I pledged AKA in spring of 2007. So I have my lawn sisters, just other classmates and friends who I've been able to rely on if there's something that I needed. And they've also been able to rely on me, just even not in a professional capacity. Like if, someone has a business and someone reaches out to me and I'm able to, you know, connect people and make a referral. But even personally, you know, there have been things that I've, you know, experienced, especially becoming a mother and having friends from FAMU who were mothers. And, you know, I didn't know where to begin when I became a mother. I didn't know where to start. So just having those friends that, you know, I could go to who had already experienced motherhood. So not only, you know, those relationships that I was able to build personally, they serve me well in a personal capacity, or not just in a professional capacity, but also in a personal capacity as well.
Awesome.
You said me, Monica?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yes. So those relationships are very priceless and valuable. I only stayed on campus 1 year, and I got off my sophomore year because I told my mom to write a letter to say that I had a disease that it was kind of maybe contagious, all kinds of stuff. I got but what I will say is that okay, come on. Now we know how some of those girls did not know how to
they were nasty.
That was my big thing. I didn't want to share a bathroom. Yeah.
Right. You know, share the bathroom. No. Okay, so let me stay focused, Mark. Okay, so basically what I want to say is that the relationships that I built at Tuskegee is invaluable and it's priceless. And the reason why I say that, not only because of the line sisters that I were able to pledge with in spring 1992, because I got some of the baddest line sisters from Gamma Kappa chapter Tuskegee University spring 92 that you ever want to see. Because when anything is going down with Vernique, it's a phone call, it's a group meet, it's a text, it's a Zoom. We all gonna come together. We're gonna come together and we're going to build each other up, because ain't nothing like Gamma Kappa. And they love
they do roll like a gang, though. They do roll like a gang. I try to roll up over.
They do roll like a gang. They invaded a whole birthday party, right?
They gonna fight. They fight.
I will say this, not only because of just my relationship with my line sisters, which is something you can't even talk about. It's top notch, priceless. But when I go back to homecoming and I start talking to other individuals about what they're doing and how their career is going, and sometimes we can bounce things off of each other. But I do have to put the disclaimer out to some people. I don't know if you're watching or because I did put it on my page. Look, I know when you're trying to ask me a question at homecoming, I'd have had some libations. So let me tell you, talk to me next week, because this ain't gonna work right now. Because
just give him your card. Just give him your card when he be like, here, call me on Monday. Call me on Monday.
Name with it, because I got to go. I got other things to do, and I'm not where you need me to be right now. It's not the place for the time. But call me next week. But and sometimes those relationships do work, and we talk to each other and we bounce things off of each other about what's going on in corporate America, what's the new and advanced thing going. So, and that within itself is a village that you get from going to HBCU.
For sure. Leontine.
I mean, everybody knows my relationships from fam, because I talk about them openly, you know, pretty much on many of my platforms. And so what I will say is I oftentimes, when I'm having conversations with individuals who did not go to an HBCU, I'm like, how do you live? Honestly, I'm like, how do you function? From business relationships to personal relationships, I'm like, okay, how do you not know someone who works at Ford? How do you not know someone who works at Facebook? How do you not know someone who is in entertainment law? Or I'm like, how do you get your work done? How do you get your life? Honestly, because and we make a distinction somewhat these days with FAMU, where we talk about Humphrey's era rattlers. And Humphrey's era rattlers is a little different. I mean, I just got a phone call from someone who is a director in Hollywood. It was like, I want to start developing some shoes. I need you to put me in contact with the president of Nike at Brand Jordan. Okay. Called me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in 5 years. You a FAMU, and of course I can do that. If it's something within my purview, he can make, and I can make that happen, of course I'm going to do it. We're FAMUans, and we're Humphrey's era FAMUans. You know where some of the bodies buried. Actually, he is my ex-boyfriend's line brother. He knows a little too much. Sure, sir. Can I make a phone call for you? I don't need you to ever put out a documentary talking about what happened at FAMU. So sure, I can do that. I mean, but I'm making a point that my day-to-day includes people from FAMU on a day-to-day basis. In my business, people are calling me. I'm calling them. Sponsorships for commercials and programming. I'm like, how do y'all get stuff done? And y'all didn't go to an HBCU.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really can't understand it.
Katrina, same question.
So I was able to form some dope relationships by going to FAMU, but I even want to put in a plug. It's something, and it's refreshing when you're able. It's like the HBCU. When you know somebody else went to a HBCU, it's like y'all in a club together.
Mm-hmm.
So, HBCU. I've met several people, even on Twitter, on LinkedIn, who has just, because of I attended an HBCU and they attended an HBCU, they've gotten me a meeting, or they've gotten me in rooms that I never would have thought I would have been able to get in. But yeah, my relationships with my friends that I developed at FAM, I will never forget them. And we still talk to this very day, all the time. However, I also appreciate the HBCU love among Black folk, because we're able to connect on a whole nother level. And we know what it's like to help one another out, because it's the energy and it's the culture that was embedded in us while attending those HBCUs. So I can appreciate that.
And you guys remember that there was like a short season where like people who went to PWIs was kind of throwing shade at one point to HBCUs. And while we may do it a little bit amongst ourselves, we was all like, hold on, this a whole clique. Like that's not that smoke you want. Like, I remember that kind of happening. Do y'all remember that season?
I do.
Short season, but
I do. There was kind of
even like.
Go ahead,
Monica. Go ahead.
There was I remember a couple years ago when I was preparing for the show, one of my memories that popped up on Facebook, some Temple University students somebody made this shirt that said HBCU-ish, right? Like, I guess it was a large concentration of Black students that go to Temple. And I was taken back. I was like, ain't nothing ish about an HBCU. You either are
or you aren't.
There's no middle ground. Ain't no ish about it being an HBCU. And I think a part of it is what y'all were saying. To Leontine's point, if someone I don't care what HBCU you go to, even if you go to Cookman, and y'all know I'm a hard, I love my uncle, but I don't necessarily like BCU. I love y'all, but I don't really like y'all during football season. But there's something to be said about I trust. So if you tell me you go to an HBCU and I'm asking you to help me with something, I'm trusting that the quality that you're going to provide me is going to be top notch. Now, I'll say I have a higher level of expectation from A&M grads, particularly Humphrey's era grads, and even Robinson era grads. If you are a FAMU rattler, my expectation when you tell me you're going to do something is you're going to do it. It's going to be top notch, and I'm not going to question it. Right. And I think a lot of that has to do with the relationships that we built on campus while we were there. So we're coming up to the end. I had so much fun. I could stay on here for like another 30 minutes with y'all.
I know.
But we're in the season. We don't have no homecoming this year. And so I'm sad. I know I'm sad. But I would like everybody to, if you've gone to your homecomings, and we know just kind of the things that we do homecoming, you got lots of food, lots of people, lots of red cups, lots of music, lots of fun. Some of your fondest memories of homecoming at your respective school. I'll let who want to go first? You on mute? Y'all act like y'all want to say
everybody.
I care about.
Look, wait, listen, the last show,
we need an after show.
The last show we were on, it was JSU guys, and one of the guys, I asked the same question, and he was like, I can't really tell y'all my favorite, most memorable HBCU homecoming because her husband may be watching. I was like, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh
He
my
did
gosh!
the right thing.
I'll start. I'm trying to think my favorite. So my favorite homecoming was my sister's an A&M grad too, and I think my most memorable homecoming was after our dad died. We were kind of really bonded after our father died, and we went to homecoming together that year, and that probably was the most. I have two. The most fun that I've ever had with the homecoming, and primarily just because I was kicking with my sister and just hanging with her, and the fact that we both went 2 different years, have 2 different sets of friends, but we both share this love for A&M that is untouched. And the second one was maybe 4 years ago. We had just had Miles, and I was looking at you can't watch social media during homecoming season because you have a real fear of missing out. Man, I was like, I saw all the parties and everybody posting about homecoming. Me and my sister and my girlfriend Carla got in the car early Saturday morning, drove to Tallahassee, spent a day in Tallahassee, got back on the road and drove back to Tampa. I won't do that again, but I remember we had a blast in like that, 8-hour time period that we were up in Tallahassee. So those were my 2. So I've shared. Now somebody share now.
All right, I'll share. Like everybody. So for me, my homecoming, I don't be remembering them because when you go to a family, when you go to a family homecoming, you gotta stay hydrated. That's all I really need to say. You gotta stay hydrated because you're going, and it's like one party after the other, and it's just a really good time. And I think the only time you really remember is when you're out at the game, and going back and forth and tailgating. But if you think about it, Friday, the best time is you don't remember it. After the game is you have a really good time. You don't remember it, and you're waking up that Sunday, barely, as they say. You're waking up. But probably the last homecoming for me. Our homecomings have really evolved up at FAMU. Mm-hmm. Like it is the absolute best time. And I've always heard, and let me say this, I'm sure every HBCU homecoming feels that way because it's like you with your family, and people, it's amazing. People you don't even know, y'all hugging and speaking to each other. Hey girl, hey, and you looking like, who was that? And you like, I don't know. I think we maybe had a class. You don't even know people, but you know them, right? And so the best homecomings are the ones that you remember them, but barely, because you just got to staying hydrated is key.
So staying hydrated. Point, it definitely is a complete whirlwind. So I'm not going to tell y'all nothing about what happened at homecoming, right? However, what I will say is the last homecoming I went to, I was driving back home. So coming back to West Palm Beach, and I literally had to pull over to a rest stop, and I fell asleep for like 2 hours. I could not keep my eyes open. It was probably, and I do not encourage anybody's child to do this, but it was either I pull over or I'm gonna get in an accident.
Yeah.
And so I literally had to pull over on the side of the street and sleep like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. No. I had too much of whatever in my system that I needed to sleep off so I could get home safely. So that part I will say.
My best homecoming, I have so many of them, but I'll share this one. Like, sometimes you just can't share, but I will share this. It was my line's 20th anniversary. And of course you have to come into Atlanta basically to go to Tuskegee. Okay. So it's not like you're just flying in somewhere, you're just getting off a plane, you're there at Tuskegee. So flying in Atlanta. And during that time, it was our 20th anniversary and no one wanted to drive. And I had some of my line sisters with me, and my cousin, Aaron said, okay, I'm gonna drive you and your line sister. I'll drive y'all from Tuskegee. So y'all be safe. Y'all can drink. Y'all can do whatever you want to. My line sister get there. My cousin get in the car. His neck all the way in the back of the seat trying to talk to my line sister. Where you from? What you please focus on the road to get us to home. Coming safe. And he told me he going to keep me safe. It was just a mess with him. I mean, Aaron, he probably watching. Aaron, that's why that was the last time you took us anywhere. But, trying to get your Mecco, and I'm trying to get the homecoming safe, and your neck all the way back in the third row. I love you, Aaron. But no, so I mean, that was a phenomenal homecoming because we overdid it. We were team too much. We had like 4 of the lots out there. A big tent that we had the tent city come in and install for us. We had catering company come bring us food. We had a step and repeat put up. AKA Spring 92 for their 20th anniversary did the absolute most. It was phenomenal. And we had a great time.
Trinette?
Listen, homecomings for me have always been about finding DJ Demp. Wherever Demp was, that's what we were trying to get to. Getting a CD made or getting him to put some music on something that we could take roll back with. Getting to the moon by any means necessary. Just going through. And a big thing for me, I don't know if anybody else spent a lot of time in Midway at the clubs. But the last time I went to homecoming, I had to get to Midway to go to a little hole in the wall to club. So that was our, after everything closed in Tallahassee, we trekked to Midway and that's what we partied till 5 in the morning.
Everybody else going to Waffle House, Trinette going to Midway.
No, we went to Midway. We had to get.
And we're going to the let outs.
Right.
If you want to have fun at FAMU homecoming, go to a let out. Right. That's gonna be the best time in the parking lot.
Whitney?
My favorite homecoming memory that I can share is probably about 7 years ago. I decided like the Wednesday of homecoming that I was gonna go up, and my line sister and I, we went up. We really didn't have any plans, but we ended up everywhere in VIP at all the parties. I had to take the Monday off after because it was just too much. Like the team too much.
So I think that was.
Isn't that something that we legit have to take the Monday off? Like you literally have to take that Friday off, and you have to legit take that Monday off.
Yep. Listen, I had this homecoming all planned. I was taking Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I was taking Monday off, and then Rona hit.
But who is planning for 2021? Because
we gotta do it.
So tight. It's gonna be
lit.
I'm there. I'm there.
Yes.
Well, I have to tell you all. I'm gonna close it out. I'm gonna give you all in one word. If you were trying to convince a young person to attend an HBCU, I'll give you 1 to 3 words. In 1 to 3 words, explain or try to convince a young person why going to an HBCU. I'll change it. In 1 to 3 words, explain how an HBCU changed your life. FAMU has this shirt that Marcette and Michelle have made talking about FAMU changed my life. Two FAMU grads. So I want to hear Tuskegee's in the house. I'm gonna let you go first, Vernique. In 1 to 3 words, describe how Tuskegee changed your life.
Oh my gosh, 1 to 3 words. Woo.
It's hard.
It is a phenomenal experience. That's all I can say. Oh my gosh.
It's a tough question, isn't it?
University, I can put that in 1 to 3 words.
Yeah. Well, use as many words as you want. You use 10 words, Vernique. Use 10 words.
I can't do it.
You can't use 10 words?
It was a phenomenal experience. A phenomenal experience.
Trinette?
Oh, it's hard, but probably the biggest thing I can say about that experience is it has shaped how I impact.
That's good.
How I impact.
That's good. Whitney?
I would say Black excellence. FAMU exposed me to excellence, and everyone that I meet that's a Rattler and HBCU grad, they're all excellent. So Black excellence.
Trina?
I'll make it personal for FAMU, but I think I could say HBCUs, they instill purpose, passion, integrity, and grit in anyone who attends and achieves.
And Leo, I'm gonna let you close it out.
What I can say is, because of my HBCU experience, I am so grateful. That is the word that bubbled up when you said 1 to 3 words. It was grateful. FAMU has been, and I'm sure I can speak for other HBCUs as well, has been so good to me. And I am so grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful for each of you all. I am so thankful. This is my home team. I am excited. Palm Beach County has taken over, and you all have blessed my spirit today. I am so thankful to our viewers who have hung in there with us. Y'all were there for 11 o'clock, and you were there at 12:30. I'm just thankful. Tune in next week. We have 2 more weeks of the HC 2020 challenge. Y'all remember to vote. Early voting is here. Florida. Please go out and vote. Vote. I ain't gonna tell you who to vote for. Yes, I am. Vote for Kamala Harris and look. I don't have no sponsors. I'm gonna say what I want to say. Y'all, we got to get that demon out of office. And if y'all don't want to follow me because I said that, then we ain't want you following us no way. And my husband gonna fuss at me when we done. I am appreciative of you all. We will see you all next Saturday. Join us at 11 o'clock. See you later.
Wherever we go, we about to bring on the positive vibe.